Joey Aguilar, Chris Brazzell, and the Tennessee Volunteers host John Mateer, Art Mason Thomas, and the Oklahoma Sooners at Neyland. Now, when I first heard about Oklahoma coming into the SEC, this is one of the first matchups that I thought about the possibilities. The Sooners versus the Vols, Neyland Stadium. This matchup fires you up. Now, you have to start, of course, with the dominating offensive performance from Tennessee. This is the offense that we thought we would get against Alabama on the road. Now, that game, of course, should have been decided a different way. I'm not going to talk about that too much. Play call at the end of the first half, but 3 wide receivers that go over 100 yards. Chris Brazzell clearly amongst the top for competing for the best wide receiver in the Southeast Conference. Mike Matthews, Braylon Staley, these guys were just going off against Kentucky in that secondary. And then, of course, you know what's the pinnacle of every Josh Heupel offense? That's a solid run game. Look, did they have 5 yards to carry? No, but they were able to punch it in for 4 touchdowns in the effect. Star Thomas, Desean Bishop. Desean Bishop's been a great runner of the football. We were curious about losing Dylan Sampson to the pros of the Cleveland Browns. What would this run game look like? The answer has you haven't missed a whole lot. Now, this Oklahoma team, they're coming off of a Red River loss. They're coming off of a disappointing performance against Ole Miss, and they had the win against South Carolina sort of sandwiched in between that, where John Mateer had one of his weaker performances of the season, the least amount of passing yards he's had in a game. He doesn't look the same, and the first thing I'll state on that is his accuracy. He missed some throws against Ole Miss. There were a lot of yards to be had, opportunities for big plays, and guys he just flat out missed. I want to take the route towards a lot more positive in the bounce back, but also I want to speak in the sense of what John Mateer would respect more is that he's just got to play better. If he's out there competing for his team, you got to play to that standard, and Mateer knows as much as anybody that those are throws that he can make, and he just has to do that. That was tough that he got hurt at such a point where Oklahoma was rolling on the season and he's going to miss time. And clearly it does look to be affecting him, and somewhat it does appear to be affecting the way he runs the football. It's hard to sort of describe that because it's his hand, but he's not as decisive in the pocket. It's almost like you're waiting to see him sort of fire the football in there, and he's not getting the football into the flat as decisively. Now, his connection with Isaiah Sategna, this is clearly his go-to guy, has been the entire season. Him and Jaron Kanik and his tight end, this has been a player that's been effective for him throughout the season in the passing game, but I would want to see more of that in the red zone. I don't think Kanik has scored a touchdown this season. When Oklahoma is in a rhythm as an offense, they're just kicking too many field goals throughout the season. They did it the opening possession in their game against Texas. Against Ole Miss, right? They end up kicking that field goal in the first quarter. This is an Oklahoma defense that has played well, but Ole Miss sort of put them on the skates, and why I'm a little bit nervous about this matchup for Oklahoma and that D for Brent Venables is this is an even quicker style of pace. This is even a team that will threaten your stamina, your ability to substitute. Tennessee goes blazing quick. They're right at the line of scrimmage after each snap. If you calculate how many seconds are on the clock just about every time they snap the football, it's somewhere between 26 to 31. They're right around there every single time they get that football off. And what does that do? It prevents you from getting the correct play call in a lot of the time because you're not quite fully set. Also, the communication becomes paramount for your defense to be set up correctly. Also, it puts you in a spot where you're a little bit more tired. The personnel up front for an Oklahoma defensive line, a front seven that's been dominant, a unit that against Ole Miss had 14 tackles for loss. It puts them in a spot where they can't get as much of a feet in the ground, so to say, going downhill in the real established style. And Ole Miss was going quick. They were going right up the field, up the seams, making throws that Oklahoma hasn't seen made on them throughout the entire season. With Texas, it was a bit more of the long, drawn out of Oklahoma stalling as an offense and Texas taking advantage of their opportunities and Arch Manning's legs, the kick return. South Carolina just was incompetent as an offense in that game. Oklahoma did come up with a couple of nice stops, but against Ole Miss, Trinidad Chambliss just showed how capable of a quarterback he is, and Joey Aguilar just as much. 400 yards against Kentucky, 3 touchdowns, flawless style. These wide receivers, they threaten the guys on the outside for Oklahoma. I truly believe that this is their toughest matchup when you go in offense to their capabilities as a defense. This is a Tennessee team that is ready to go into this game at home and score 40 points. Now, I don't think that they get to that 40 number. This Oklahoma team will get pressure on the quarterback. They are led by Mason Thomas. They have a group of guys that get after the quarterback as well as anybody in college football. Taylor Wine, I really believe that Tennessee's ability to attack them wide, right, at the wide part of the field. You see alignments for Josh Heupel's offense that are wider than just about anybody outside of the numbers, and you're requiring your quarterback to have a big, strong arm to throw with anticipation, to be able to read defense as well. And you're looking at the numbers, right? Depending on the run or pass in this offense, a lot of it has to do with the safety play. So Brent Venables, how much disguising does he do? I think you have to do a little bit more. Then again, when you have that disguise and you have 6 guys on walked up right on the line of scrimmage, and you don't know where it's coming from, it also makes it a little bit more susceptible to deeper plays, more explosives, because these guys, it takes them a little bit longer to get into their drops in pass coverage. You can be susceptible to passes out in the flat if they have the right read and Joey Aguilar is able to make the right post-snap decision. This falls on the veteran ability of Joey Aguilar, and I truly believe that that plays into the hands for a Tennessee offense that has arguably the best group of wide receivers in the SEC. Now, the run game, I don't see a lot of success coming against Oklahoma. Frankly, if Tennessee's to win this game, I believe it's limiting John Mateer, not letting him put that cape on and become Superman, and it's Joey Aguilar throwing for 346, 3 touchdowns, him having a heck of a day. Because the run game, of course, Josh Heupel will keep at it, and he's going to stick to it. But against Kentucky, it felt like he was doing it because he wanted the balance. Tennessee could have thrown the football for 550 yards, 700 yards if they wanted to. So that's sort of where you respect Josh Heupel, when it just felt like Kentucky couldn't stop Tennessee in any way, that he almost kept it on the ground because it allowed you to have a little bit of balance to make sure that Kentucky is respecting it. And look, he's one of the better play callers and offensive minds in the sport of college football, going up against the defensive mind of Brent Venables. And Ben Arbuckle as an offensive coordinator scheming against this Tennessee Volunteer defense with guys like Joshua Josephs. This Tennessee squad has clearly shown how much they'd missed Jermod McCoy, and that secondary getting gashed at times this season. It's been incredible how much of an impact he would have had on this team. Arguably could have been the best cornerback in college football if he had been healthy, and he's been a guy that truly, I think, could have allowed them to win a game against Alabama or against Georgia if they had that caliber player in that secondary. It just moves everybody up a spot. And sometimes it's like in a baseball lineup. If you lose your number 2 hitter, everyone has to come up and you're just not working with the same amount of talent. I have Tennessee winning this game at home. You cannot understate, or overstate, I should say, the impact of a home crowd. Oklahoma losing 2 of their last 3. John Mateer not fully knowing which version we're going to get. I know what version we're going to get of John Mateer. It's a gutsy, gritty, hard on his sleeve guy that will do everything it takes to fight and battle his butt off to be competitive in this game. But truly, this is an offense for Oklahoma that's about to get hit. And Josh Heupel doesn't care if Aguilar throws a pick or 2. He cares in a sense, but he wants to attack. He wants to go right at Oklahoma where they're the weakest, and where they're the weakest is the secondary. Clearly, that front 7 is a top 7, 8 unit in the country, getting after the quarterback, tackles for loss. Their statistics are right up there with the best of them. But you have to earn your right to rush the passer. Tennessee will take their one-on-ones to Brazzell. Is there a guy for Oklahoma that can cover him consistently if he gets 10, 12 targets vertically stretching it down the field. I don't see it. I've got Tennessee winning this game in a tight fashion, 31-27, high scoring. I know it's surprising. I think Sean Mateer can lead Oklahoma down the field. I want to see more from Tory Blaylock. He was coming off a great performance, his best showing of the season against South Carolina, and then follows that up with 6 carries for 10 yards. Look, is more of the Xavier Robinson show. He had 2 touchdowns, but again, one of those went for over 50 yards on the day. So it sort of skews. It says they ran for 5 yards a carry. It was more like somewhere in the low 3s because of how well Ole Miss was able to play up front. Umami, Yellen, and soon Terry and Perkins in that defense for Ole Miss, limiting the impact. And then again, John Mateer's legs weren't a major factor. So that's my prediction, 31-27. Look, this is a brink type moment. Oklahoma, 2 losses. They lose this, their chances of making the college football playoff are slim to none. Tennessee, same story. Bama and Georgia, their losses. They lose this game, their chances of making the playoff are none. They're not getting into the college football playoff if they have 3 losses. Oklahoma, because of their schedule and having enough left to sort of chew on with games at Bama, Missouri, LSU, that's a little bit tougher. So maybe they have a shot if they were 9-3, whereas Tennessee, maybe you don't want to put yourself in that position. This is where it gets fun. It's November now, the final month of the regular season before conference championship weeks, the first weekend of December. So these games have playoff implications, potentially SEC title game, maybe implications. It feels like that ship has sailed for these squads, but overall, we get an SEC battle. I'm going to take Tennessee. Let me know down below in the comments who you think wins this game. Am I wrong? John Mateer bounces back in a huge way. Oklahoma gets the road win at Neyland. Or does Tennessee keep the train moving forward? They get a win at home against a tough Sooner football team. I appreciate you so much for watching this video. Please subscribe for more Blitz with Blender content in the future. I'm Josh Blender. I make college and NFL videos every single day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.
Best player in college football.
That Georgia and Ohio State game, New Year's Eve, is going to be a classic.
Josh Blender. Hi, everybody. I'm Josh Blender.
To the 40, 35, 30, Espinosa to the 20.